What comes to mind when you think of compassion's biggest obstacle? Cruelty? Indifference? While those can certainly pose challenges, the truth is that one of the biggest barriers to compassion is something much more common and often overlooked: being all caught up in a competitive motivation. Hi, I'm Dr. Stan Steindl. Welcome back to Compassion in a T-shirt, where we dive into the science and practice of compassion and explore how it can transform our lives and relationships. Today we're tackling a surprising question: what's compassion's biggest challenge? And you might think it's cruelty or indifference, but actually it's something more subtle, more pervasive: competition. Most people don't set out to be cruel. That's not what drives us day to day, and it's rarely the reason people choose not to be compassionate. But competition? That's everywhere. From striving for promotions at work, to comparing ourselves on social media, to nations fighting over resources. Competition is deeply embedded in human nature. And while competition has its place, it's helped us achieve amazing things. It can also get in the way of our ability to be compassionate. In this episode, we'll explore why that happens, how competition stems from our evolutionary drive system, and most importantly, what we can do about it. Let's get started. To understand why competition challenges compassion, we need to look at how our minds are wired. Clinical psychologist Paul Gilbert's 3 emotion regulation systems, or 3 circles model, helps us make sense of this. We all have 3 systems that guide how we respond to the world. The threat system is motivated by threat detection and safety seeking. It's our fight, flight, freeze, appease response, designed to detect and react to danger. The soothing system is about connection and care, down-regulating the body and the mind. It helps us feel calm and settled, connected to others and safe. And then there's the drive system: wanting, pursuing, obtaining, keeping. This is where competition comes in. The drive system pushes us to pursue goals, achieve success, and secure resources. From an evolutionary perspective, this system is all about survival, finding food, securing shelter, and building status to attract a mate. It's also deeply entwined with social rank theory, which explains how humans evolved to navigate social hierarchies. By instinctively comparing ourselves to others, we aim to achieve higher status to secure better opportunities, resources, and protection. This instinct helped our ancestors maintain their place in the group and avoid being downranked, which could lead to reduced access to critical resources or even exclusion from the community. These social comparisons and judgments were essential for survival, ensuring the continuation of our species. But here's the thing: the drive system often doesn't operate on its own. In modern life, the fear of being downranked can also activate the threat system. We experience a drive to obtain status and a fear of losing it. This can trigger anxiety, defensiveness, and even hostility, all of which block our ability to connect compassionately with others. At the same time, the drive system isn't inherently bad. It's the engine behind our ambitions, whether that's getting a promotion, winning a game, or simply being seen as successful. It also fuels innovation and creativity, inspires athletes to break records and businesses to solve problems. It's why we have art, technology, and even this video. However, when the drive system dominates or gets all mixed up with threat system, it can trap us in endless striving, leaving little room for connection, trust, or compassion. Let's think about a moment when you felt competitive. Maybe it was at work, in a social situation, or even comparing yourself to someone on social media. What thoughts or feelings go along with a competitive motive? How does it feel in the body? Where does the focus of your attention go? What do you feel motivated to do? Competition often arises from the drive system and shapes how we think, feel, and act. When we're in a competitive mindset, the body tenses, the heart races, and the mind narrows its focus to winning and avoiding loss. Our attention shifts to others as rivals, and the world can start to feel like a zero-sum game. If they win, I lose, so I must win. This can trigger threat system, leading to anxiety, defensiveness, and behaviours that crowd out compassion. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking free from them. Competition has a dual nature. On one hand, it drives excellence. Think of Michael Jordan, whose legendary competitive drive pushed him to become one of the greatest basketball players of all time. His relentless determination not only fueled his success, but also raised the level of play for his entire team. Healthy competition can inspire resilience, determination, and growth. But competition also has its traps. Zero-sum thinking. The idea that if you win, I lose. This mindset turns life into a race where there can be only one winner. It's the belief that success is finite, creating unnecessary competition, even when collaboration might achieve better outcomes. I've spoken with lawyers who say their fiercest competition isn't with clients or even rival firms. Instead, it's with their own colleagues within the same firm, striving to stand out and get ahead. A risky environment in terms of stress and burnout. Scarcity mindset. Competition often makes us see resources like money, material possessions, or even opportunities as limited, fostering a scarcity mindset. This fuels hoarding behaviours and controlling strategies, driven by the belief that what we have is never enough. Known as the hedonic treadmill, this endless pursuit for more, bigger, better, newer, leaves us feeling unsatisfied and constantly striving. The fear of falling behind creates tension and mistrust, both within ourselves and in our relationships, as we prioritise self-preservation over genuine connection. Seeing others as rivals. When we're caught in a competitive motive, people can start to feel like obstacles or threats rather than collaborators. Imagine the person who feels overshadowed by the other's successes, jealousy growing into resentment. Instead of celebrating, moments of success become sources of conflict, eroding trust. This guarded atmosphere stifles generosity, replacing openness with competition. Over time, relationships feel strained, fostering mistrust and leaving little room for authentic connection. When these traps take over, zero-sum thinking, a scarcity mindset, and seeing others as rivals, competition starts to inhibit compassion. So how does competition inhibit compassion? Compassion is about connecting with others and wanting to alleviate their suffering. But competition narrows our focus. Compassion asks us to tune in to others' needs. But in competition, our energy goes towards achieving our own goals. The more competitive we feel, the harder it is to step into someone else's shoes. Seeing others as rivals leads to a breakdown in connection and erodes trust. Relationships become transactional. What can you do for me? Rather than collaborative. This disconnection makes compassion seem like a risk or even a weakness. And the competitive motive often activates our threat system. Fear of losing can trigger anxiety, insecurity, or shame. It can make it even harder to access the soothing system that underpins compassion. Let's look at some examples. In our personal lives, comparing ourselves to friends on social media. Who has the better house, car, or vacation? Instead of celebrating each other's happiness, we feel envy or inadequacy. In the workplace, office dynamics often reward competition over collaboration. Undermining colleagues or taking credit for others' work can feel like the only way to get ahead. And on a global scale, nations competing for resources, whether it's oil, water, or vaccines, often prioritise their own interests over collective well-being. As a result, motivations like caring, sharing, collaborating, and reciprocating are pushed aside, leaving little room for the connection and generosity that might underpin compassion. So how do we shift? The goal isn't to reject competition entirely. Competition has its place, but we need to balance it with other motives, particularly compassion, which fosters caring, sharing, and collaboration. Here are some practical strategies. Adopt a caring and sharing mindset. Start by noticing opportunities to support others instead of competing with them. Remember that compassion begins with sensitivity, awareness, noticing suffering in yourself and others. To make this shift, we need to open up that sensitivity. Lift your chin, look around, and truly see what things are like for those around you. For example, in a group discussion, amplify someone else's ideas instead of trying to make your voice the loudest. Shift to collaboration. Instead of thinking, "What can I win?" ask, "What can we achieve together?" Remember the old saying, "All boats rise on the tide." Collaboration and helpfulness are likely to improve things for everyone. For example, if you're part of a team, focus on how your strengths can complement others rather than outshine them. Practice reciprocation. Build trust by giving without expecting immediate returns. Being generous, helpful, and kind doesn't necessarily mean that the other person will reciprocate straight away. But reciprocation starts with us giving rather than waiting to receive. Take a little leap of faith and you'll quickly see that compassion soon spreads. For example, offer help, share resources, or express gratitude freely. Over time, this creates a culture of mutual support. Engage in compassionate group activities. At its heart, compassion is about care and connection. When we work together towards a shared goal, we foster a compassionate motivation that strengthens bonds and achieves meaningful outcomes. Sometimes you might need to lead the way and suggest something. It takes courage, especially with the risk of hearing no. Or you can listen for suggestions from others, and when you hear one, take the leap and say yes. These small acts of collaboration create a ripple effect, spreading compassion and making a difference for everyone involved. For example, volunteer in a community project or join a local group focused on collaboration rather than competition. Reframe achievement as collective success. Set goals that lift others up, not just yourself. For example, if you're mentoring someone, measure your success by their growth and achievements. By balancing our competitive drive with compassion through caring, sharing, and collaboration, we can not only succeed, but also help others thrive alongside us. This week, I encourage you to reflect on your own life. Where might competition be holding you back from compassion? And what's one small step you can take to shift towards collaboration? Thank you for watching. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, take care of yourself and each other.